Try to keep this. I talk really loud anyway, so I actually don't really need a microphone, but I will use one today. Thank you so much for coming to Sycamore to, I'm assuming some of your children are here at our girls conference, so thank you for that. And then also to enjoy our parent informational panel. We have 3 representatives from area independent schools that are here to really talk about really how high school diplomas have changed, what that means for college, class choices in the STEM area when students get to high school. And so, welcome, and if you would all just introduce yourselves, please, and then we can get started.
Hi, everybody. I'm Robin Esteb. I teach chemistry at Brebeuf Jesuit Preparatory School, and I've been there for 16 years. I'm the science department chair. Oh, and I'm also a parent. I've had 2 kids go through Brebeuf and 2 kids go through Orchard right down the road, so nice to see everybody here tonight.
I'm Leanne Applegate. I'm at Cathedral High School. I'm our vice principal for academics, and this is my first year at Cathedral High School. I have been in Dallas, Texas for the last several years at a all-boys Jesuit high school down there.
Hi, I'm Dave Best from Associated School at University High School of Indiana. I've been there a little over 20 years. I'm in Associated School, and I teach math and science, depending on the semester.
Okay, great, thank you. So something that might be on your minds, it's certainly on our minds here at Sycamore, but there have been changes made to the Indiana high school diplomas. So would each of you kind of just discuss what is going on at your schools, some changes that might be made, and then implications for colleges?
So when I was getting my high school diploma yesterday in Indiana, we earned the honors diploma. That's what Indiana has had for many, many years, the honors diploma. The class of 2029 and beyond will have different honor seals that students can earn. At Cathedral, we're trying to make our course catalog so that all of our students can graduate with the enrollment seal because we're a college preparatory school. There's also the employment seal and the enlistment seal. The biggest difference between the traditional honors diploma and the enrollment seal is it's set up to allow students more flexibility in their schedule to kind of pursue their passions like STEM courses. They've reduced like the world language requirements from 3 years to 2. They've knocked off econ and composition just to try to allow students to kind of take more courses that might be their passions, more internship opportunities. So Cathedral, for example, is trying to do a lot more with dual credit and AP. We're trying to do more with experiential learning just so students can kind of navigate those interests.
At the University High School, we're an independent school, we've had Core 40 also with honors for a long time. We are not changing as much with the new degree. Our students are eligible for their degree. They can take the course. So for instance, government, we offer government. They can take it or not. We have an econ class. They can take it or not. And if a student wants the Indiana enrollment or seal, they can get it. And that's important for people who are 21st century scholars. For instance, you have to have an Indiana degree. So you can get, for instance, take econ and get it, or take government, sorry, not econ, personal finance, personal finance and government. But you don't have to. And our experience so far with Indiana universities, as well as KYC and Will College Prep also, they think the enrollment seal is fine. They do not require it or need it. They treat us as an independent school like they treat students who might come from out of state from any other place. And it is interesting, but not a requirement. And so from our point of view, we're not requiring all of our students to get an Indiana seal. Again, IU, Purdue, Butler, no school has said they require it. We do meet the minimum standards for those colleges, and again, students can get an Indiana seal if they so desire. We have that flexibility for them, but we have more flexibility. They can take world language, they can take the 15 different STEM classes, science classes, and they can take as much as they want with those, and it's still, from a college point of view, and from our point of view, prepares them for the next step.
Yeah, and I'm not really, I think, not well versed in that particular area, but what I can say about our courses is at Brebeuf, we really haven't changed what we require of our students to graduate with diploma from Brebeuf. So even though we feel like the state, I think, has changed some of what they're asking students, we kind of still require our students to go a little bit above that, like with language. We haven't changed our language requirements up above. We kept that pretty traditional. Same thing with science. We still require 3 years of science, so we really have to change that either. I mean, it's a college preparatory school, and as far as the state changing kind of what they require, we've pretty much kept what our parents and students have really liked about Vermont. We've kept that standard. And we also, communicating with different colleges and universities, try to stay pretty in tune with what they're looking for as well, and make sure our students come out well-rounded so that, when they do apply, they come out well-rounded.
Yeah, for all this, like the Indiana state requirement is 6 semesters of math. IU and Purdue, IU wants 8. Everyone takes 8, right? I mean, that is what they do, whether or not, and if you want the enrollment seal from Indiana, you take 8. Our students already take 8. Right? That is what I was saying. Yeah, everywhere's college prep. So it does not affect a whole lot. There is a new class called College and Careers, which is a requirement, and we have taken our freshman orientation program, our freshman retreat, as well as our college counseling, and it basically crystallized some details on that, put a letter grade on it, and so we haven't changed what we're doing, but now all the support of things you might roll under college and careers, we now count toward that, so all our students again can qualify for 21st century scholars, and they can qualify for Indiana.
Thank you. Dual credit AP was mentioned, so if you all would take a minute to just discern between those types and then honors classes as well, so that our audience would kind of have an idea which track they might be interested in.
I would say it very much depends on the student and what the student is interested in. Out-of-state colleges will still take AP because College Board is nationwide. Dual credit, a lot of colleges in state will take that for content credit. Out of state with dual credit, it's most likely going to be credit, but just like I'll add it to your transcript, but if it's Spanish, you're still going to take Spanish with us. So I think I speak for all of our schools. We offer a lot of both to try to tailor it to the students and their goals. It's kind of like apples and oranges. Sometimes they can be taught in the same class depending on the curriculum, but it's really very much, they're both college credit, just kind of what avenue do you want to pursue.
Yeah, I agree that getting credit at Ivy Tech or IU is helpful. It doesn't hurt if you're going to go to Ohio State or go elsewhere, they don't care as much.
Right.
AP is AP, which is nationwide, so we offer a lot of AP classes. That is our main focus. Probably for all of us, we have options relatively quickly for some AP, and whether you take AP or not at each level can vary on the student. It's not super tracked, but if AP is important, you can take AP almost all the way through in all disciplines. I imagine for all of us, there's AP English, AP History, AP Math, AP Science, AP World Languages, all these options. And next year, there's actually an AP Personal Finance we're going to offer, which is new for College Board. I mean, nobody has it this year, but maybe that's a new thing. People like personal finance, so good.
Yeah, it's a good skill to have, right? So would you say that your dual credit classes will start probably in the upper junior, senior year as students are starting to kind of have a better idea of where they might be going to college?
I was going to be clear, University High School, we don't have dual credit.
Okay.
We're pure AP.
I'm running through our catalog of dual credit. We have a couple that can start as low as sophomore year. We also, part of it depends on placement. So for example, we have dual credit Spanish. We have students who test into dual credit Spanish as freshmen because of the Spanish courses they were able to take in middle school and just where they placed. So most of them are designed to be junior and senior level courses, but some of it is kind of dependent on the student. AP we have as low as freshman.
For AP, we offer as low as freshmen as well. We have AP classes really in every discipline. Dual credit, that's kind of, as things have come up and we felt that students have really requested a need for dual credit in a certain area like a math course, then we'll incorporate that. So I think as long as we have students that really could benefit from the dual credit, then we'll offer it. But if it's not something I think students are really needing for school or looking for that college credit, definitely our AP courses are really deep at Brebeuf, so.
Great. Well, we're all here for STEM also, so let's talk a little bit about choice, right, in the STEM field. So how does STEM courses fit into kind of the puzzle of graduation diplomas, but also in student interest as well?
So for the Indiana diploma, to get the enrollment seal, students are required to take biology and chemistry, and then a science elective, physics or a different science. Cathedral, it requires 6 credits of science, so all of our students will take biology and chemistry. And then we have a huge range of science electives. We have physics, we have anatomy, forensic science. We really try to, whatever students really are seeking, we try to offer that.
Yeah, the University High School is fundamentally the same. So freshmen take biology, sophomores take chemistry. Some of them will double up and taking physics. We have physics, astronomy, environmental science, anatomy, zoology, go down the list. We also have a January term, which is what we're finishing up right now, 3 weeks, 1 class focused. So we have a class that's coming back from Alaska right now. We may not make it back on the day they're supposed to make it back. But they've been studying glaciation in Alaska. Had a class last year that was in Belize and learning oceanography. They all got scuba certified as part of it, was swimming. So beyond the basic curriculum, we have other courses in January term that get special English. And I just finished a course on science and the paranormal, very much. Let's look at tarot. What does tarot? Why would somebody think tarot works? What does the science say about tarot, or astrology, or a whole slew of things we looked at? But another way of looking at STEM, right, and how you apply, how you want to learn, how you decide if something is true or not, how you look at science as one of many tools to understand the world around us.
Yeah, I guess this is my 16th year at Brebeuf. This year I have 4 AP Chem classes. That's all I teach this year, which is really unusual. But I would say at Brebeuf, just from a science standpoint and math standpoint, we often have students that double up or even triple up in science their junior and senior years. It's not uncommon to have somebody graduate Brebeuf having taken 8 or 9 different science courses, which means, you know, they usually take biology their freshman year, they double up their sophomore year, and they triple up their junior year and double up again their senior year. Because we have such a variety of offerings that are very traditional. So, you know, AP Chemistry, AP Physics, we do both levels of AP Physics. So we have AP Physics A, AP Physics C, and then AP Biology. I think AP Anatomy Physiology is coming on board sometime in the near future from College Board. It may not be this coming year, but I think the following year is coming in. And then AP Environmental Science, which actually is a huge draw for our juniors. And it's a great course because they really look at, you know, the environmental impacts around the world, and it's a great class, and it's very junior heavy. But we have an honors biotech class, which I love. There's 5 sections every year of that course, and it's mostly seniors that take it, and it's just very lab-based, hands-on. I mean, they're in the lab more than they're in the classroom, and they get to do some really exciting things, like work with gene, a lot of gene discovery. She works, it's Sherry Ame, she works with Biorad, and she actually tests out a lot of the things they have coming down the pipeline with education. But they do just really, really kind of interesting activities that get kids excited about science. And a lot of the kids end up going outside at the university level and using these things in lab, and they're like, wow, I used this in high school, right? And it gets them really excited, so they'll come back. We have a large science alumni base that go and study science, and then we'll come back to the school and talk to our students about what they're doing and the different research that they're doing. They'll bring back their research posters, and we post them around the science office. You know, we just got them with winter break, and we had, you know, a slew of students just coming in talking about what they've been doing as undergrads, and that's really exciting, coming from science and technology and watching our kids go on to college and doing things that honestly, okay, I graduated in 1990, I'm gonna date myself, that I never even could have dreamed of having the opportunity to do as an undergrad. So I think our goal is really to give those students that leave our schools the confidence that when they go to college as undergrads, that they can reach out to their professors and get these experiences. And I think that's something all of our schools kind of offer, is that ability for teachers to support them and give them the confidence to go and do that. So we have students that, and we try to advise our students to take the basics, right? Biology, chemistry. We really try to talk all of our students to them about the benefits of having physics, because that seems to be the one class sometimes students are like, oh, I don't know. And I mean, we have 3 levels of physics, and we have 2 very solid physics teachers that, I think that's something some other schools struggle with, but we really try to get our students to take all 3 and then branch out from there, right? And take some of those cool classes, I think.
We'll talk about science, but on the technology, we all offer technology classes to computer programming. There is probably, I'll say for us, we have an intro CS program, I'm sure we all do, as well as AP computer science, but within that, for us, we're not a huge school with 350 students, but we rotate on a 4-year basis continuously different classes that we offer on computer science. So there's web development, there's 3D design, there's hard coding, and cybersecurity, right? And we have teachers who are part-time in that they teach 80% for us, and they actually do development on their own. So what they are doing when they're teaching game design is what they are doing on their personal jobs also at the same time, to try to get people in what is current. We've had a complaint from one of our alums recently who went to IU Bloomington and just said that he's bored in all of his computer science classes to start with. Probably always would say some version of this, because he's already been exposed to all the basic stuff. Yet IU wants him to take these. Okay, fine, go ahead and take it. But he's like, wait, I already know. And within the schools, he's had an opportunity to go beyond just the classes.
I think that's I'm gonna piggyback too. I think that's the gist of it, is that we tried really hard to make sure that students are exposed not only to all of the different avenues of science, but like the things that a lot of students don't get to do until they get to college, like lab skills. That's huge if you're a biology or chem major. And I think all of us offer a lot of electives that just get kids in the lab, or get them thinking, or get them working with a 3D printer, so that when they do get to those courses in college, it's not the first time they've seen it.
Mm-hmm. And they're used to working with adults and interacting with adults. They build those skills.
I too wish my high school experience was like that as well. You've touched on it a little bit, but I am curious. There is a puzzle to scheduling high school classes, right? And so, a kid or a student who loves biology and you want them to take an array of things, should they really be thinking as a freshman then, if they want to start doubling or really getting into a path? I guess this is a scheduling question too. How does it all work? How are you able to fit all of this awesome stuff into a 4-year experience?
I will say, I can only speak for Cathedral. At Cathedral, most of our freshmen take, for the most part, the same courses. Maybe the level of math they're taking is different depending on what they tested into, but it's mostly like biology, math, world history. Like it's pretty standard that way. There's a little bit more option sophomore year. We start to have students double up in areas, and then junior and senior year is where it branches out. Because to your point, maybe a freshman doesn't know, or they think they know, and then they get in and they're like, oh, I actually really love social studies. So we try to expose them to everything, give them a really good foundation, and then slowly give them.
Yeah, if you imagine between history, English, math, science, and a world language, that's 5, probably 7 classes for all of us. And so within the rest, if you have an art requirement, some kind of an arts requirement, some kind of physical educational requirement, that's 7 periods, right? If you were to say, well, those 2 requirements, the last 2 I mentioned, for most of us are probably not 4-year requirements. They could be. If somebody loves art and they're taking 12 art classes, wonderful. But for a lot of students, by the time they're a junior, by the time they're a senior, and even when they're a sophomore to a certain extent, they want to double up on math, they want to take the extra science, wonderful, if that is where their interest is. We all have summer classes, so I know Summer PE is a remarkably popular thing, and playing sports for sports credit, and that frees up academic time
Personal
for
financial
other things.
responsibility.
Yeah, take personal finance in the summer. Yeah.
At Vermont, we offer 8 classes. We have our rotating schedules. Our kids can take up 8 courses, but they usually, a lot of them will take 7 courses and then have a break. But we really encourage the kids to kind of balance out, because we all know there are some classes that have a lot of homework. They can count them. When they come in and, there's a lot of things they have to do outside of school. Something that counselors I think do a great job of is getting them to go, okay, realistically, how much time do you have outside of school? And what's a class maybe that you can take that is not as, doesn't have a lot of homework? And even within science, like we vary a lot with how much homework our students have outside of school. Biotech, for example, that has 5 sections of seniors almost every year. She's very lab-based, so all of that work really is done in the classroom. There's very little work outside of school other than some reading. But AP Physics, AP Chemistry, it's a little different. We try to have them well-rounded in our cathedral. For both, we also have a religion requirement, so that fits in there as well. But pretty much all of our students have a nice, even if they're tripling up in science, they can still do a language, they can still take an art class, they still have their religion class. It seems to all still fit in. And I think that having the ability to take 8 courses gives them that opportunity to kind of get some of those classes that they may be interested in that they wouldn't take otherwise.
Great. Is there any questions at the moment from the audience? I'm happy to do a quick audience question. Yeah.
As AI becomes more ingrained into the way you work, how are you thinking about incorporating that into your curriculum from a literacy standpoint?
That's a really good question. I think that is something that it's like building the ship while flying, or like building the plane while flying. Is that the phrase? Our teachers are trying really hard to find ways to teach students to use AI in a way that enhances their learning. Alternatively, we're realizing as educators that sometimes it is best to just go back to paper. So we're trying to kind of balance, like, where are tools that I can push my students into using these tools so it's actually enhancing their learning experience. Maybe I'm just gonna have them write this paper in front of me. So our teachers are really trying to kind of balance the two to still really focus on, I'm teaching my students critical thinking and problem solving. I'm also teaching them to use these tools that they will definitely need for college and for their careers.
Yeah, like one of our history teachers, he has, go back 5 years, he had essays, great, he has essays, right? Now, all his essays, some of them, this is going to be an AI-enabled essay, and so how can you use AI to help you develop a better essay than you would otherwise? That is a skill set that is separate and different from writing without AI, and they need to learn both, right? Whether it's pen and paper, but formally, no AI, but also it is a tool amongst many that makes the different products that people do need to understand, right? And use it in a way we want them to use it versus using the equivalent of phoning a friend and getting an answer, which gets into plagiarism. People say, does your work, does it reflect your knowledge? If it does, great, and AI can help it. You better reflect your knowledge in a structured way as possible, but as often as not, it is. Students will have a tendency to use it sometimes as a shortcut to a reason, and nobody wants that. We want them to have good education experience. But we do formally teach in this class, this is how you use AI here, for instance. All of our teachers, how exactly it looks like right now compared to 12 months from now, it continues to change continuously.
We've incorporated a stoplight system this year, so teachers can say, this is a red light assignment, there is no AI. This is a green light assignment, you guys can definitely use AI. And that has helped a little bit, just to put something that every student understands kind of in front of it. And then I think teachers are still trying to kind of figure out where on that stoplight they want to be.
I'll say from a teaching standpoint, there have been, I think, a lot more opportunities for professional development in this area. That, we're sending teachers out and looking at the pros and cons and talking to, other people that have been using it, and really being open to being flexible and learning from the development of AI. I know I can speak from AP chemistry. My students, when I put things up on we use Google Classroom, when I put it up on Google Classroom, all of my practice, they will use AI to develop study guides and, they'll say, write 30 multiple choice practice questions from material I posted. So they've gotten really good at that, and those are things that I think are wonderful for them to learn how to do. But the discussion's very open and very flowing. I think that's a great question because it's like trying to learn about something that's constantly changing.
Yesterday, earlier this week, last week, Google announced they partnered with College Board, and you can go to Gemini and just see, I need a practice SAT exam, boom. And it'll give feedback on, these are the questions you missed, here's additional instruction. Why would we not be using them?
Right.
Right, I mean, that's an easy, please stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't circumvent the students actually learning.
That's so cool. Purdue actually just announced, I think this week too, that they are now will be requiring an AI class for all their students too. It's like a kind of one of those freshman required courses. I haven't really looked into it too much, but if you're interested, you might look it up. Any other questions from the audience? Okay, well, I have a few more. As parents, we think about grades sometimes, right? So there is different levels of classes that you can take, and they do have different weights for GPAs and that sort of thing. So from your experience, based on your teaching experience, also with your experience heading off to college for kids, is it best to stretch yourself and take some of those super hard classes with the understanding that you might not get the A that you were hoping for, or is it best to take honors versus AP so that you can ensure that you have a better grade in the class?
I honestly love this question because we're getting ready to schedule right now, and one of the things we talk about is how emotionally attached are you to that A, because it is a real thing. Like I'm really, so I think that depends on the student and the student's needs. I tend to say if you're going to take a class where you know you're going to get an A, then I would ask, am I being challenged appropriately, right? So we really want them to think about what the outcome, what the goal is for that student. We talk to parents about it, but we have students that, they come in as freshmen and they may take biology, and then they may opt to take, let's say, on-level chemistry. And then all of a sudden they kind of mature and they grow in their science knowledge, and they're like, I really enjoyed chemistry. And most students I know after biology, and probably most schools, they go from honors chemistry to AP chemistry. Well, every once in a while I have a student that'll go from on-level chemistry and decide, I want to challenge myself in AP chemistry. And we let them do that. I mean, one of the big things with our AP teachers is we want to make those classes accessible. So we don't want students to come in thinking, oh, I'm good at this one, but we want them to know you may not get an A, but you're going to be appropriately challenged and you're going to be appropriately supported. And I think the big thing really at the high school level is getting that support, because that AP class is a college level course. The difference is when you take an AP class in high school, you have access to a high school teacher to help you get through it. I graduated from Michigan State, so really, 350 people in my chemistry class. You don't have that in college. That's the one thing I think we all probably offer with our AP courses and those upper level courses is the kids feel like they can challenge themselves because they know they're going to be supported.
I think this question is funny because teachers and parents will often look at this very differently. Because teachers, we just want kids to learn. We want kids to challenge themselves appropriately. We want to support them. So if a student asks the teacher, should I take this harder class? The teacher's going to be like, yeah, you can do it. You might not get an A, but you can do it. I'm going to be here to help you. But from a parent's perspective, you're also thinking about college admissions. So that letter grade matters a lot. And I think it's just finding the balance and appropriately rigorous course load, where if I am turning in a transcript to colleges, they're going to look at that and say, okay, this is a rigorous course load. I see some Bs, but they took a lot of AP classes. If it's starting to get into the CD range, maybe then you need to think think about dropping to honors or on level. But I think it's the appropriate rigor that's really important.
Yeah, years ago, all my kids were humorous at school, so when I was talking to colleges, the answer to that question was always, you need to take the APs and get A's. That was the only acceptable answer. But I think that a more pragmatic, I very much agree with what both of them have said, and a pragmatic part of it, if you're going to go to IU or Purdue and you're going to focus in STEM, but you need to take history, it's good, you need to be a well-rounded person. Getting a 4 on an AP exam helps you get some credit toward that degree, and whereas getting an A in like just an honors course on AP doesn't, right? So getting a B and getting a 4 on an AP exam, that is demonstrably better, as long as the B gets in. But that's a little bit of a niche answer for some people, that's important. But the students should be where they're challenged and where they enjoy it. And we talk about there are some students who are they're going to be challenged and they're going to put about the same workload in whether it's an AP or not, because they're just really good. That's easy. And for the other ones, I would usually advise, we have a mentoring program, I advise my mentees, take the AP if they think they are interested. And if they get a B, so be it. If people go to college, they have Y's when they get B's, it's okay. But that's easier to say than the parents sometimes feel.
Yeah, there's a lot of feeling with it too, yeah. So a student that might be interested in STEM, we talked about classes, but what about some extracurriculars that you think might be of interest to our kids that are interested in this field? I know high schools offer a ton of extra opportunities, so would you like to speak a little bit about some opportunities at your schools?
Yeah, I can. So we, probably on the STEM side, we have people who compete in national cybersecurity things. Cybersecurity test, the Air Force runs some stuff, so they're applying some programming skills there. There are a robotics team, we have a robotics team in FIRST Robotics. They are meeting today, right? I just left them before I came over here. They get a design problem, throw balls into a basket while other robots are competing with you for space, and they design a robot, they build it, they physically machine it, and then they construct it, and then they compete against other schools. And that integrates everything you might possibly want around math, science, technology, and engineering. And I would guess for all of our schools, first of all, there is no cut. Like you're on the robotics team, you're on the robotics team. You got to show up, you got to do your stuff. But what we will find for you to do. There's also programs outside of our high schools, IU Downtown, IU Indy, IU DY, Project STEM, and Project Seed. We've had several students that spend their summers doing research there, have published peer-reviewed papers while in high school because of the access they had to professors there. Have good relations to the students in programs like that. But on campus, the robotics is probably the biggest single, for us at least, STEM-related, competitive, extracurricular activity that will take them 3 nights a week, 6 hours a night. That when they're in their season, they're in 100%. But they love it. They really love the team building. They have to do their own fundraising. There's a lot of things besides just the engineering part. And that is really a very practical engineering skill.
I would agree. Robotics is very much a sport.
Mm-hmm.
It is the same time commitment as an in-season sport. But those kids are very committed to robotics. Cathedral has robotics as well. We also have a J term. Our J term is shorter. We just have a 1-week J term, but we have a computer programming J term. We have a 3D printing one. We also do a lot with the life sciences. We had a marine biology trip down in Florida who was doing scuba diving and snorkeling. They saw a lot of really cool turtles. We have the zoology. They went to the zoo and did case studies and got some like behind the scenes stuff. So we try to branch out kind of for all areas of STEM. And then to your point, a lot of the Indianapolis universities have really amazing programs that I think all of the high schools are very plugged into. Marion University just announced an engineering camp this summer that I think we're going to send some kids to. So just a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah, I was looking this up to see, we have about like 74, I think, clubs and student, ways for students to be involved. But as far as science, and we do robotics, we have esports, which is very
it's a big deal.
Very serious.
Esports, we have GEMS. I had a student approach me last year to start a chem club associated with the American Chemical Society. So we have a chem club there, and we're in our 2nd year. I've got some really good officers heading that up. But pre-med club, RAFA, which is animal associated. Yeah, just all those, there are tons of clubs. We have students obviously that kind of see something maybe in another school and go, hey, could we start that here? That's what happened with Chem Club. Somebody just said, I would like to start one, and so we found a way to get it started, and I'm sure that's kind of the situation with all schools is different things come up and students have interests, like there's ways for them to start it up. I'm currently writing 3 letters of recommendation right now for students that want to do summer research. Some of them are local, and some are ones where they actually go and spend some time on a college campus and do research for several weeks over the summer. So, and I think there'll be more of those letters coming pretty soon, because I usually have about 7 or 8 that I write every year for summer research. So, yeah.
That's super cool. Do you as a school promote some of that, or do they find these opportunities themselves? How would one find summer research to do as a high schooler?
First, part of it is it's tied to college counseling. The summer programs, especially that are at different universities, our college counselors have that, and so college counseling is not your senior where you went to college, get it done, but all the prep work do that, including exposure to those kind of things. And then locally, all of our science teachers, science professors in the area, and work with them, I'm sure. And so it's the Project STEM and Project C partially comes from one of our teachers used to be a director of that program, and they were IUPUI at the time, which we had good fun with it. We have a lot of people that work at Lilly, a lot of parents who work like in Lilly, and so students who will go and intern there in the summer because they work with relations of their parents.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say it's a mix. Our counselors do a good job of putting things out so that students kind of know what opportunities are available. Some of our educators have really good connections. And then some of it is 100% student driven. We have some students who find some really amazing opportunities and bring it to us, and we're like, yeah, let's do it. So it's kind of a mix.
Yeah, same. I think most of my students find out from their college counselors or academic counselors, and usually things that are shared with us, we will post it in the science office, or we put it out on our learning management system. We just let them know of these opportunities, and a lot of it is, I know somebody who did this program last year and they really loved it, and I'd like to try it, and student word of mouth is a big part of it as well.
Any questions? Yes.
Can an internship in a STEM field count for STEM credit?
Well, it's interesting thing when you say about STEM credit. So, like for us, we have students who take student internships as a January term class, and that is a credited class, transcripted class. If they do it in STEM, it's a STEM thing, but for, I guess specifically about your question, we don't have, our science requirements are satisfied by biology, by chemistry, by our regular electives. And a student's internship, that is a wonderful extracurricular possibly for January term as a class, but and it would be in STEM, and it's not a STEM credit per se for graduation, but it contributes to a STEM experience.
As part of the new Indiana diploma requirements, they have the honor seals. There's also honors plus seals. So there's the enrollment seal, there's the enrollment plus seal. To earn the enrollment plus seal, you have to do some work, obviously. But part of that is work-based learning and experiential learning. And when we have students who do internships in STEM fields, that absolutely counts towards that. So they could be earning an enrollment plus seal.
Yeah, 75 credits required, or 75 hours of internship while we're a student.
My niece is in a public school actually here too, and I think some large public schools might also offer an internship class, so they would do that internship in place of a class, and then it would show up on a transcript that way. So, thank you for the question. Are there other questions that you all have? Yeah.
Can I ask a non-STEM question?
Sure.
Is that all right?
Yes.
So I know that we have 2/3 of people from, like Catholic, Christian type schools. So what about non-Christian families at your schools?
Cathedral has, our student body is 60% Catholic, 40% other. So we have students who are non-denominational Christian, we have students who are atheists, we have students who are Jewish. We very much embrace all cultures and all religions in whatever facet that means. Our expectation is that students will participate in a religion class all 4 years of high school. the expectation is not that they all become Catholic by the time they graduate.
So, I mean, I'm not Catholic, and I've been at Vermont Jesuit for 16 years. My kids were not raised Catholic, but funny enough, my son graduated from John Carroll University, which is a Jesuit university, and my daughter is currently a sophomore at St. Louis University, which is a Jesuit university, studying physical therapy there. So, you know, I'll tell you that same thing. I'm going to piggyback off what she said about cathedral. I mean, we definitely have we celebrate every religion at Vermont. I mean, we often will do, you know, prayer in the morning, but it will be given in, we have different faiths represented that give prayer in the morning, and it's been great. I have to say, one of the things about my kids going there is they were exposed to a lot of different religious beliefs, which I know has and will continue to help them out in the real world. And feel really good as a parent about just letting everybody be able to kind of express themselves. So it's a great question. As a parent, yeah.
And it's a non-sectarian school, right? We are private and not religious-based, but Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, we take those days off. For Muslim students, we take off Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah. For Jewish students, take off Christmas and Easter, everyone does. And we have, for instance, we don't have a religious studies requirement, but for students who have interest in that, for our upper division, English and upper division, social studies classes are all rotating electives besides the APs, and so religious studies is one of them that we offer on rotation for people that have an interest, right? And so we try and support it. Doesn't mean that you can't get some religious understanding while at a non-sectarian school.
We have more time together, and so if you, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I have another broader question. And thinking about the topic, you think about the student who was in college and kind of bored because he's taking most of these classes.
Yeah.
How do you balance, or how do you think about the rigor that you're providing the students in college and their ability to still stay engaged in college? Because now we have an extra free time in their brains because they've done this before. And then how do you also balance that against, you know, they're young and they're learning and they're mastering what you're teaching them versus just really good at texting? I just want to get a broad understanding of that.
Yeah, I think for all of us, we say there's a lot of things you brought up there. One thing on mastery, we sometimes spin on that a little bit. Nobody's a mastery of anything in high school, right? You can be a mastery of high school algebra 1 or high school chemistry. That doesn't mean you're a mastery of chemistry in the slightest period. We remind people of that period. Right? But for students, I'll also say, this may sound awkward, I think you guys will probably agree, we do sometimes tell our students, be prepared for the fact that the quality of your education is going to go down when you go to college, in this initial year as a freshman. Your freshman experience, the quality of teaching, I should say, is probably going to go down a little bit. You're going to go to these in-person lectures that you don't see in any of our schools. But that being said, there are always different challenges and new challenges. A fundamental difference between high school and college is high school is 7 or 8 hours a day. You're in, you have homework outside, but you're structured. College, a typical solid load is 15, 16 hours a week. That's it of class time. What you do on the outside, in theory, you're studying a whole lot, but how you manage yourself outside, how you're managing your running, that is what is important. And we talk to seniors a lot about that. I used to teach at Indiana State University for a while, and we used to talk about how college is wasted on people of college age because they don't take advantage of all the interesting things that are happening in college besides just the classes. And so we try and reinforce them. It's part of being in clubs, being in programs outside of classes. We reinforce all the experiences that you get outside of class. And in the meanwhile, take your classes, there will be some new stuff. There will be good new stuff. And just because one class seems like something you can in high school, that's a little bit, but hopefully that's helpful.
I would agree with you that mastery only comes from repeat exposure.
Yeah.
So if I take AP Chem and I get a 4, and then I go to college and I take chemistry, it might be review, but I'm still going to learn it better. And I think my goal is to I want students to come back and tell me their first semester was easy. If they come and tell me their first semester was easy, it's like, well, you did a good job. Because that means that they can focus on all the other facets of college that are really important, like how to become an adult, how to study on your own, how to go to office hours. And if we can teach those skills in high school and give them a strong foundation, they're gonna crush college.
Yeah, I think a big part of, in really just from the science standpoint, because I really can only talk about my department, and encouraging kids to take the life science, biology, chemistry, physics, so they get exposure. The goals to have them come out really well-rounded and develop those skills to study. But definitely coming out, at least with AP Chem, a lot of students, AP Bio, AP Physics, they tend to say that first year was enjoyable because they weren't stressed. I'll put it that way. And
Yeah.
the stress level goes down. They'll often say, I was able to help my classmates, with things, or I had a student that just came back over the winter holiday, and there's something that's not really covered that well in AP Chem, and they spent more time on it in her college class. She's at Purdue, and she said, she goes, I understand hybridization much better because it's more, in AP Chem, it's like, just know if it's linear, it's FP, and if it's, but we don't really go into how, and they went into that in Purdue. So she really is finding that what she learned is every layer, right? On level chem, right? It's just like another layer. She's building these layers and then building up to her upper level courses. So you don't really want a student to be bored when they go to college. You want them, but it's okay if they take a class and they're like, okay, I've seen this before. Then they really can't focus on some other things. So yeah, it's a great question.
Our keynote today actually was an industrial engineer from Purdue, and then went on to do different things in engineering, but was talking about foundation and mentioned the fact that she was able to take 2 years of chemistry, so that when she went, if you're going into a STEM field in college, you are going to have to take these classes again, so there is that reality to it. There's probably a lot of repeat math classes as well. So it is layering that foundation and really sending students off very confidently to college, which is really important to get that great first start. So thank you for asking that question. What other questions do we have? We have just a few more minutes. Yes?
I don't want to do.
No, keep going. That's great.
Hello, this is the last of session 5, so we have ended our day. Girls, once your session is done in your release, please head to the gym. All parents will pick up from the gym, so head back to the gym, please. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for a great day.
They did tell me 3:30, so I do apologize. I thought we had 13 minutes left. Go ahead and ask your question, and we'll finish it there. How's that?
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So what about kids that are coming into high school that have been gifted learners their whole career and have been allowed to, take high-level calculus in middle school and things like that? How do you support them and give them learning opportunities?
It's a really good question. Again, from Cathedral's perspective, let's say you have a student who comes in who has taken upper level math. If it's on a high school transcript, we accept that as credit, and then we will place them in the appropriate math class based off of a mastery test. So we have a very amazing math teacher. She's been at Cathedral for over 40 years. She has written this mastery test and will place a kid like coming in, okay, you are going to be in Algebra 2, you're going to be in pre-cal based off of this test. And our requirement is that you take 4 years of math at Cathedral. If you start in Algebra 2, that means that you can end up in BC Calculus or differential equations. So we kind of we meet the kids where they are, and then we kind of scaffold their high school experience from there.
It's probably the same, basically, for all of us. We offer 11 years of math at some level. So you come in taking calculus as a freshman, that is exceptional. Here's your next 3 years after that. Right, and you come in taking Algebra 1, you will have a good experience. You will learn Algebra 1, and we will also get you ready for college in a different way. And I think we would all say, you guys offer AP World History freshman?
Yeah.
We actually do not learn.
Okay, so Rebuff does.
No, I just misspoke. Yes, we do.
Yeah. Everyone has AP World History for freshmen, which seems kind of crazy, but it also challenges strong students who have good reading and writing skills and understanding skills. At the freshman level, they have a different path.
Yeah, we do kind of look at the kids holistically when they come in, like what experiences are they coming in with, because I had a freshman recently that had a lot of chemistry exposure before coming to Brevard, and he took freshman biology and AP chemistry as a freshman. Very unusual, but we do, we will look at students holistically.
And typically, though, you will have to take a mastery exam for placement in those classes just to prove that you have your foundational skills.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for coming. I really appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind sticking around for a few more minutes in case anyone has any individual questions, but thank you so much for coming today. Thank you for sending your girls to the STEM conference if they are here today, and I hope you stay really warm and don't need to go outside tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you all.